Siren wash painted my gate before the wind finished the word private on the sign. Karen stood on gravel like she owned the air. You can't block community access, she said. Lanyard badge flashing. This isn't access, I said. It's my fence line. Read the post. She lifted a glossy trifold. Community pond. Filed 2014. You brought a brochure to argue a deed. I kept my hands low. We can check records. Her phone screen glowed 911. Don't, I said. I'm documenting a hostile neighbor, she replied, for everyone's safety. A dispatcher's voice crackled through her speaker. 911, what's your emergency? Threatening mail blocking our greenway, Karen said. We have bylaws. You called 911 over a fence, I said. She smiled like a ticket writer. Over non-compliance. Minnie Cliff. The siren turned the pines into red and blue ribs. A county cruiser nosed the bend steady. A second car idled behind it. A deputy stepped out first, young careful hand near his radio, not his belt. Karen raised her voice. Officer, he's obstructing HOA access and escalating. Morning, the deputy said. Anyone hurt? No, I said. Emotionally endangered, Karen said. He's aggressive about property lines. I held up my folder. Laminated plat, parcel number, a photo of my uncle's deed. I'm precise, not aggressive. The second car's door opened. A familiar silhouette unfolded hat brim straight as a rule. The badge caught sun and threw a gold square onto the mailbox. Afternoon, Dad said. Sheriff Reeves. He looked at me first. You good I am, I said. We're about to have a paperwork day. Karen blinked fast. Sheriff, I'm Karen from Whispering Pines HOA. We have a recorded easement here. Dad nodded to the deputy. Record starts now. The deputy tapped his phone. Body cam on. Call log rolling. I passed Dad the folder. He steadied it on the gatepost and squared the pages. Karen slid her trifold between us. Community pond, shared use filed 2014. We've always used it. Dad read the footer. Whispering Pines, water feature access. Filed 2014. He set the paper beside my plat. Ms. Karen County seals printed blue that year, not green. She blinked. Printing variation happens. Does variation make certified appear typed, I asked. She exhaled through her nose. Stop intimidating me. I'm keeping paper honest, I said. Minnie Cliff. The deputy's mic popped like a starter pistol in a gym. Dad turned my page. Parcel 281B, Reeves Estate, probated and recorded. He tapped the corner. Here 1207, trespass definitions apply. Karen planted her stance. We've accessed this shoreline for years. History matters. History's a teacher, not a title. Dad said. She gestured at water beyond the trees. It's for families. He never cooperates. Cooperation starts with the truth, I said. Dad closed the folder. Here's what we've got: a posted sign, a recorded plat, and a 911 call about a neighbor dispute, not an emergency. Karen tilted her chin. So, you're taking his side. I'm taking the laws. Dad said, until a real easement appears in the record, there isn't one. She squared up. Then I'd like to file a complaint. Against who? The deputy asked. Him, she said, for intimidation. Do you feel threatened right now? The deputy asked. I feel undermined, she said. Dad nodded at me. Copies queued. I thumbed my phone. A folder label filled the screen. Received 0317 Cameragate. I'll email PDFs and stills. Karen flinched. You recorded me. At my gate? I said. You walked past the sticker. Dad tipped his hat a fraction. Gee. Ms. Karen advised your board to stop posting HOA materials here without written permission. She gathered her brochures like armor. We'll be back with counsel. Bring counsel, I said. Bring a blue seal. Minnie Cliff. The mailbox flag clicked up then down with no letter inside. The deputy faced his mic toward the post. Annotate. Received 0317 on-site verification of posted notice, no emergency civil dispute, pending records check. Karen stared at received like it burned. "You're missing the bigger picture. Bigger pictures have borders," I said. "That's what makes them pictures." She turned for her SUV, heels loud on gravel that wasn't hers. Halfway to the door, she pivoted. "You're not a good neighbor." "I'm a lawful one," I said. Silence landed and stayed. Scout thumped her tail once. The pond held its breath and the sign kept its word. Dad paused by the mailbox. The badge glinted in the curved metal, his and mine side by side in the reflection. "You call Carol?" he asked. "I will." I said. "Keep your records tight," he said. "I live here," I said. He drove off, slow lights down. The deputy followed. Dust rose hung. I peeled Karen's notice off the gate. The tape left a gray smear. I slipped the sheet into a clear sleeve and marked it with a Sharpie date, time, camera call, Nauer. Inside, I set the folder on the workbench next to my torque chart. Habit torque records, then breakfast. Authority isn't volume, I said. The phone buzzed. Carol send. Everything now. HOA letters pile faster than leaves in October. The stack leaned on my workbench. I slit the top envelope and let the paper breathe. Community access reminder, Karen had typed. A tiny map sat in the corner tinted green where my shoreline lived. Same map as the gate I said. Same stamp, year 2014. I drove to the county records office. Humming lights, I muttered. Clock's judging me. The clerk's tag said, Marie. "What can I help you with?" "Parcel 281B, I said. "Original plat and any easements." "An HOA map misrepresents access." "Misrepresents," she repeated. "ID." I slid my license and the probate letter. She scanned, then gestured. "Sign." Marie returned with a brown folder and a plastic sleeve. Recorded plat for 281B Reeves Estate. Post-probate. No easements to water. And she tapped the sleeve seal guide. Ink formula changed in 2016. So, in 2014, I said the seal color was blue, she said, cobalt. Not green. Not unless the county was celebrating St. Patrick's Day for a year. I set Karen's map beside the plat. "They keep calling this community," I said. "Community is a word Marie said. Easement is a record." "Minnie, Cliff." The wall clock hit the minute, with a stamp thunk tick. A man at the microfilm pretended to read and watched us instead. "That a pond fight?" he asked. "Property fight," I said. "With paper. Can you certify a copy?" I asked. "I can certify the plat," Marie said, "and print you a reference. I can't certify their brochure." She pointed at the typed certified on Karen's map. "That's not how signatures behave. Paper outlives noise," I said. Marie nodded. "Put that on a mug." She inked the stamp cobalt and pressed it to the copy. "Clean edges," she said. "No bleed." "Their map claims filed in 2014, I said. "Check the index." She spun the monitor. "Everything touching 281B last 20 years. Scroll. Transfer probate tax release. Well permit. Nothing from a homeowners association. Nothing labeled access." The microfilm man whispered, "So." "Nothing. Nothing," Marie said. I photographed the screen with the timestamp. The door chimed. Karen walked in with the smile from my gate. "Good morning," she said. "I need a certified copy of the Whispering Pines access map filed 2014. "Map number?" Marie asked. Karen slid a glossy trifold. "This version." "That's an HOA illustration," Marie said. "We don't certify illustrations." "It was filed," Karen said. "Our records show, our records," Marie said, "are here. We've used that path for years," Karen said. "Years of use don't invent conveyance," Marie said. Karen turned to me. "You brought your father, now a clerk. I bring records," I said. "Minnie, Cliff." The copier warmed and coughed like a small engine catching. Marie stamped a second page and slid both across. "Certified plat for parcel 281B. Reference for you. Seal guide included." She looked at Karen. "If you have a filing number for your map, I'll pull it." "Green access area," Karen said. "Recreational feature." That's a design concept, Marie said, not an instrument. Karen set the trifold down as if weight could become proof. Moisture kissed the paper, the green bled along the edge. I pointed. The ink bled green where it should have been blue, I said. Karen didn't look at the edge. She looked at me, then at the room, openly listening. "You going to stream this?" she asked the microfilm man. "I'll watch the minutes." I slid the certified copy into a rigid sleeve. The plastic clicked a small coffin over a clean truth. "Diner up the street," Marie said. "You can make more copies there." "Coffee any good?" I asked. "Burnt," she said, "but faithful." I left with the folder and blue stamps cooling. "Refill?" the waitress asked. "Please," I said. I took a booth by the bulletin board, Lost Cat Church Fish Fry Estate Sale. I laid out the plat and the guide and wrote labels filed. February 12/07. No easement recorded. I printed 2 more sets and fed them through the laminator by the napkins. Karen appeared at the counter pretending surprise. "Small town," she said. "Small records," I said. She glanced at the sleeve. Her finger hovered over the seal, then stopped like it hit glass. "You're very invested," she said. "I live here," I said. "You could just be kind," she said. "Kindness doesn't move boundary pins," I said. "Paper does." She watched the laminator spit another sleeve. "Blue looks official," she muttered. "It is," I said. The clock above the grill hit the hour. The waitress speared tickets onto a metal spike. Karen signed for a coffee she wouldn't drink. I saw the loop she made when she scrawled her name, the same loop printed beneath the green seal on the trifold. The brochure loop was a font trying to pass for a hand. Her signature looped wrong, and she knew I saw it. Carol Baines answered before the first ring. "Logan, I figured I'd hear from you." "Karen called 911 on offense," I said. "Now she's filing fiction. Bring coffee and whatever's in your inbox," she said. Her law office sat over an auto shop, the hum of compressors coming through the floor. The glass door read Baines and Ledger. Land and probate. A half-torn county flyer about a rezoning hearing flapped on the bulletin board. "Your name's circled," she said. "Whispering Pines filed this hearing notice 2 days after you stopped their picnic. That's the next front." Her desk was a battlefield of Platts pens and a printer that smelled faintly of solder. "You still keep your own tool bench?" I asked. "Legal repairs take torque," she said, pushing aside a stack. "Let's see the damage." I laid the green-tinted HOA map on her blotter beside my certified blue seal plat. She slid on her glasses, scanning the header. Their version uses Arial instead of county serif. "File naming convention's wrong too. You emailed this to me attached last night." She clicked open her monitor. "Got it. Mapedit final real1.pdf. That's an amateur's idea of stealth. Mini Cliff." The printer beeped twice like it knew a forgery when it saw one. Carol's fingers flew across the keyboard. Metadatas like DNA for paperwork. "Let's read it." She pulled up the file properties. Created by G. Summers at Whispering Pines HOA. Org. Modified 5 days ago. "That's your Karen's boss, right, Greg Summers?" I said. "HOA president." She nodded. Timestamps fresh. If it were a 2014 document, metadata would match the county's PDF generator version. This was made on a home scanner. They even left the crop marks. A knock came at the glass door. Carol didn't look up. "That'll be Linda." Linda McGrath entered, silver hair pinned tight, ex-secretary of the HOA. She carried a folder and a moral debt. "I told them not to touch your pond," she said. Greg wanted a family retreat angle. He had Karen type the letterhead herself. "Would you swear to that?" Carol asked. "I brought proof." Linda opened her folder. Printed emails. Subject line map, draft revisions, don't tell county yet. Carol's smile sharpened. "Linda, you're my new favorite witness." Linda pointed to one email footer. Draft attached mapped at final real1.pdf. That's the same file he bragged about finishing at midnight. Carol zoomed the document on her screen. The cursor blinked beside the forged seal like it was waiting for permission to tell the truth. She zoomed in, a cursor blinked at the lie. Mini Cliff. The overhead light flickered a silent beat before revelation. "Print both," Carol said. The printer warmed coughing ozone. Blue ink met green fake. Side by side, the seals looked like truth and envy. "If it's real, it prints clean," she said, "and this one streaks like guilt." Linda folded her arms. "Greg never ran anything by the board. He used our logo signed for us, then told Karen to handle PR. Carol scribbled notes. We'll need affidavits and screenshots. I'll draft a notice to preserve all digital evidence." "You think they'll fold?" I asked. "Not before they try to bury you in bylaws," she said. "But this," she tapped the metadata, "is the hammer." She printed a second copy and handed it to me in a clear sleeve. "Prop chain continues. This one's your deed partial proof. Keep it safe." I slid it beside my certified plat. Evidence beats outrage. "That's why you called me," she said. "You've got the outrage covered." The clock ticked once the kind that makes silence count. Linda hesitated at the door. "Be careful. Greg's talking about new security patrols." Carol looked up. "Private contractors, unlicensed," Linda said. "He says he's protecting the community." Carol muttered. "From what reality?" She turned back to me. "You'll need camera backups and witness statements. Sheriff can't play both sides forever, even if he's family." "I'll keep him out until it's public," I said. "Good," she said. "When we serve papers, let them see it coming. No surprises, just law." She pressed a fresh stamp onto the affidavit header. "Filed, Fartwan 12-07, County Records." The printer clicked once more, ejecting the final page. She handed it over like a warrant. We had their signature and their timestamp. Every camera was already rolling. Tripods leaned like spectators' red lights blinking in time with the buzz of the PA. The HOA community lawn had never looked so manicured, fear trims better than pride. On the folding podium, a stack of violation notices waited like ammunition. Each bore the same green seal that had bled under the projector last week. The crowd formed a half-moon inspectors and khaki residents in sun hats, kids holding lemonade cups too close to tension. Karen adjusted her blazer. Her voice found the microphone first. "This gathering," she said, "is about restoring harmony in Whispering Pines." Minnie Cliff. The mic screeched feedback, a high whine that scattered birds from the flagpole. I stood a few paces back beside Carol, who wore her sunglasses like armor. "Harmony," I whispered, "has a timestamp." Carol didn't smile. "So does accountability. Let's see if she can read her own." The county inspectors lined up their clipboards. Ms. Collins, one began. "Before we discuss harmony, we'll address unauthorized structures, dock extensions, signage, and misrepresentation of certified plats." Karen blinked. "That's under internal review." "Internal," he said. "Then explain why your version bears a county seal not issued by the county." Murmurs. Someone recorded close-up on a phone. The mic caught the shuffle of paper. I could feel the prop chain tightening certified plat metadata. And now the printed orders. Prop number 3, teased, gleamed under the sunlight. Minnie Cliff. A lawnmower across the street stalled mid-row, its silence too sharp. The inspector read aloud, under County Code 412-07, HOA entity, Whispering Pines shall cease and desist from distributing falsified documents pending investigation. Karen's lips moved without sound. She reached for the notice like it might rewrite itself if she held it long enough. Carol leaned closer to me. "Wait for it," she said. The inspector flipped the next page. "You will read the compliance statement for the record." Karen swallowed. The PA popped once. For the record, she began. "Whispering Pines acknowledges discrepancies in documentation." Her hand shook. "And will cooperate fully with county review." The inspector pointed to the seal printed on the notice. "Please read the line below the mark." Her voice cracked. "Certified by county clerk," she stopped. Typed, not signed. Her voice broke, reading her own seal. The crowd didn't clap. They didn't need to. The echo of microphones and paper did it for them. One resident muttered, "So, all that mail was fake?" Another whispered, "Guess fences weren't the problem." I stepped forward when the inspector nodded permission. For clarity, I said the original plat remains valid, filed, and certified. Blue ink doesn't fade. Karen looked at me as if I'd stolen gravity. Carol spoke into her own recorder. Public acknowledgement obtained. County order issued. Evidence chain intact. Viral quote. Paper outlives noise. Mini Cliff. The PA feedback chirped again, this time softer, like a closing door. A breeze lifted the top page of the violation stack. On its back, someone had written in pencil, "Meeting scheduled, corrective filing." Carol pointed. "There's your twist," she said. "They'll have to rebuild the paperwork from scratch." The inspectors signed each copy and distributed them to the HOA board. One approached me. "Mr. Reeves, you'll receive a formal letter confirming boundary restoration. Does it come with quiet?" I asked. "Quiet's earned," he said. "But yes, it's part of the order." Residents began taking photos beside the bulletin board where the notices were pinned. A few smiled relief, replacing rumor. Karen stood by the podium, hands clasped, eyes unfocused. She whispered, "We were just trying to improve the community." I met her eyes. So was I. The mic crackled one last time. The inspectors packed up their clipboards, clicking shut like gavels. The lawn smelled of cut grass and ink. Carol gathered her notes. "You did what they said you couldn't, fought back without shouting." I nodded toward the flagpole where the wind caught the edges of the paper pinned beneath the county seal. Paper talks louder. The mic pop felt like a verdict. Every camera was already rolling. The HOA lawn shimmered under mid-morning heat, microphones lined like pickets before the podium. The PA hummed with feedback, a long electric sigh before words could claim it. On the podium sat a stack of violation notices, each one stamped with the green seal that had already died once under a projector. A handwritten tag on top read, "County Compliance Hearing, Public Session." Residents circled the folding chairs, splitting cleanly into two camps, polos and clipboards on one side, denim and dust on the other. The inspectors waited near the county van, clipboards, raised eyes trained on the stage. Karen Collins stood behind the microphone posture, tight enough to hum. "This gathering," she began, "is to reaffirm community standards and address certain misunderstandings." Mini Cliff. The mic popped so loud it cut her sentence in half. Carol stood beside me near the tape-line legal pad, under her arm, sunglasses hiding the storm behind them. "Misunderstandings," she muttered. "That's one word for forgery." "Patience," I said. They brought the paper. Now we let it talk. The lead inspector badge glinting in the sun stepped forward. "Ms. Collins, before we proceed, I need to confirm that all copies of your HOA documents were distributed under your authorization." "Yes," Karen said quickly. "All of them, even the ones dated 2014 bearing county certification." Her hesitation lasted half a breath too long. The crowd noticed. I believe so," she said. The inspector turned to the microphone. "For the record, those seals were not issued by this county." The air tightened. Phones rose higher, lenses caught everything. I felt Carol's elbow touch my sleeve. "That's our cue," she whispered. The inspector unfolded one of the violation notices, reading loud enough for both sides of the lawn. "Pursuant to County Code FAR 1207, the Whispering Pines, HOA is ordered to cease distribution of uncertified documents and remove all signage implying county endorsement." He paused, let the weight of the words settle. "You will read this acknowledgement, Ms. Collins." Karen blinked, caught between legal instinct and public dread. Mini Cliff. A gust of wind scattered a few leaves across the podium, but the papers didn't move. Carol whispered, "Watch the seal." Karen leaned toward the mic. "Whispering Pines acknowledges discrepancies in documentation provided to residents." Her voice trembled. "And agrees she continued to comply fully with county review and correction protocols." The inspector nodded. "Now, read the line below the seal." Karen's throat clicked as she looked down. "Certified by county clerk." She stopped, breath hitching. Typed, not signed. Her voice broke, reading her own seal. A few residents exchanged looks. One whispered, "That's what they sent us." Another muttered, "Guess harmony comes with ink stains." The PA crackled again, a low drone that sounded almost alive. I stepped forward when Carol motioned. For clarity, I said, "This is not about fences or friendliness. It's about record integrity. Blue seals are county. Green is wishful thinking." A ripple of laughter escaped the back row, not cruel, but cleansing. Carol approached the podium, voice clear and flat. "Your Honor," she said to the inspector, "we ask that the county post this order on the community board. Let every resident see the correction." "Granted," the inspector said. He reached for the next page and pressed a real cobalt stamp down with authority. "Filed and received this day." The sound of that stamp echoed louder than any gavel. Karen stared at it, lips moving soundlessly. Behind her, Greg Summers held his phone low, typing fast crisis management in lowercase. "Minnie, Cliff." The PA hissed again. Someone adjusted volume, but left the echo in place. Carol turned toward me. "Prop chain complete," she said softly. "Order teased." I nodded. "Took 5 letters to undo 5 years. A resident called out, "So, who fixes the mess now?" The inspector faced the crowd. "The HOA will reissue proper notices, refund disputed fees, and restore property boundaries as recorded." A low murmur turned into applause, cautious, like people testing permission to breathe again. Karen stepped back from the podium. "We wanted to improve the neighborhood," she said quietly. I met her eyes. "Then start with the truth." She opened her mouth, then closed it. The mic hummed, picking up a silence that felt final. Carol leaned closer. "They'll call this accountability," she said. "But it's confession by broadcast." The inspectors signed the final sheet, passing it to the clerk, who pinned it to the corkboard under the flagpole. The county seal shimmered blue beneath the sun. "Paper outlives." "Noise," Carol said. I looked at the cameras still rolling, and noise never prints clean. The wind flipped the corner of the notice like a wink from the law itself. The mic caught one last pop, sharp, final, perfect. The mic pop felt like a verdict. The order hit the table like a gavel. Not a bang, but a weight, the kind of sound that made conversation drop 2 tones lower. Paper doesn't echo, but everyone in that sheriff's office heard it. Rain streaked the windows, slow and deliberate, each drop like a countdown. The clipboard still smelled of ink. The county seal shimmered faintly blue, its circle pressed into the fibers. I could tell the clerk hadn't even let it dry before delivery. Dad sat behind the desk, uniform, creased, radio silent. He'd been sheriff long enough that the badge looked less like authority and more like gravity. "You sure you want this formal?" he asked. After what they pulled, I said, "I want it written twice." He grunted approval. "Then it'll stay written." Carol leaned against the filing cabinet, phone propped up to record. "For the record," she said, "we're logging service of injunction at 10:22. Dad gave her a nod. "Transparency's fine. Just keep it quiet until the ink's dry. Minnie, Cliff." The fluorescent light flickered once, a pulse of static above our heads, then steadied as if even electricity wanted to listen. The door opened behind me. Karen Collins stepped in, blazer dark from rain. Her eyes were tired, voice soft. "You sent for me?" Dad gestured to the chair across the table. "Sit." She did, setting her purse beside her, hands folded. "I thought this was a follow-up. The meeting said—" "It is," Dad interrupted, "but you're not leading it." Carol's pen clicked on. "Serving copy of County Court Order Section 12-07 for Whispering Pines, HOA. Karen flinched at the name. "You can't just—" He laid the document flat. "I can. Court can. And it did." The official stamp, raised and glistening, cast a faint shadow on the page. The ink still looked wet, a mirror of consequence. Dad read slowly, each word deliberate. "Effective immediately, the HOA is prohibited from enforcing or distributing any uncertified documentation or boundary notices until completion of county audit." Karen's breath hitched. "This ruins the community's authority." Carol glanced up from her notes. "No, it just stops you from faking it." Karen's gaze shot toward me. You think this helps your fence? This isn't about fences, I said. It's about the truth behind them. Minnie Cliff. The air conditioner kicked on, blowing the scent of rain and printer toner across the room. Dad turned the page. You'll sign acknowledgement of receipt, he said. That's the law. Karen didn't move. And if I don't, then the clerk signs for you, he replied, tone even. It goes into record as refusal. The pause stretched so long that the clock above us seemed to count louder. Finally, she reached for the pen. Her signature trembled but held. Dad slid the keys across the table. 2 brass, 1 silver. Gate control clubhouse utilities, he said. Temporary custody pending audit. Karen stared at them. We built this neighborhood, and the county built the ground you built it on, he said. Her mouth tightened. So, this is how it ends. Cameras and papers. Carol spoke quietly, almost kind. Authority isn't a polo, Karen. You don't wear it. You show up for it. Karen blinked confusion flickering through defeat. I don't understand. You will, Carol said, when the cameras stop and the law doesn't. Minnie Cliff. The printer behind us beeped, spitting out a duplicate copy with the same cobalt seal. Dad turned to me. Hold this one, he said. Chain of custody stays in the family. I took it, folded the edges with the care you'd give a flag. Feels heavier than it should, I said. That's proof, he said. It always weighs more than words. Outside, rainlight bled silver across the parking lot. The county truck idled by the gate. I could see the maintenance crew waiting with boxes of new locks. Dad picked up the radio. Unit 12, confirm service complete. Static answered, then copy that filed and received. Karen exhaled one long shudder. You think this fixes anything? I looked her in the eye. It starts it. We stepped outside. The rain had stopped completely, but the pavement still glistened like paper catching sun. Carol followed, tucking her recorder into her coat. I'll file the footage, she said. Press might pick it up. Dad didn't respond. He just walked toward the gate. Karen trailed behind, silent arms crossed tight. The maintenance man waited beside the padlock. Ready, he asked. Dad nodded. Read it first. Carol pulled out the injunction and began, her voice steady, filed County Court, Pier 1207. Service executed under authority of Sheriff Reeves, effective immediately. Minnie Cliff. The sound of the key sliding in was louder than the wind. Karen's face crumpled when she realized what it meant. You're changing the locks. Dad didn't look at her. Restoring the right hands. She stepped back, voice breaking. We were trying to protect the community. Then you should have protected its truth first, he said. He twisted the key. The new lock clicked in. Peace clicked in. Carol exhaled slowly. That's the sound of justice behaving itself. I looked at Dad. So, that's it? We just walk away, he smiled faintly. Law doesn't walk away, it stays. You just stop fighting it. Karen turned toward me, her eyes wet but steady. Your father's the sheriff. You always had an advantage. I shook my head. No, I just had to wait for the law to catch up. She lowered her gaze. The clipboard still lay open on the hood of the patrol truck, the blue seal catching daylight. Carol packed up her papers, snapping the binder shut. Let her process it, she murmured. Paperwork hurts slower than punches. I watched as Dad locked the gate and handed me the spare key. Keep this, he said. It belongs with the record. Feels strange, I said, winning quiet. That's the best kind, he replied. Minnie Cliff. The siren at the county tower wailed noon, a clean, single tone that made every bird in the trees lift at once. Karen turned to leave. I'll issue a statement, she said. Make sure it's true, Carol called after her. Karen didn't answer. Dad climbed into the truck radio, crackling again. Service logged, he said. Locks changed property, secured order fulfilled. Static replied. Copy that. Recorded and archived. I watched the ink on the paper drying, blue settling darker with each second. It felt final. Not victory, just completion. Carol folded her arms. Think they'll learn? Maybe, I said. Paper outlives noise. She smiled faintly. Always does. Dad rolled down the window. You coming? "In a minute," I said. He nodded. "Engine." Rumbling low, pulling away. The gate stood gleaming behind him, the new lock bright as forgiveness, the old rusted latch lying forgotten in the grass. I stood there a while, rain-damp wind on my face, the injunction still warm in my hand. Justice didn't roar. It clicked, it breathed, it waited, and finally it stayed. No gavel this time, just silence. That was the sound of a town learning how to listen again. The evening air outside the town hall smelled of cut grass and warm asphalt. Inside, folding chairs lined up in stiff rows under the hum of fluorescent lights. Every seat filled but one, a lone chair at the center of the board table labeled President Vacant. Karen's nameplate lay face down beside it. Carol whispered beside me, "Empty chairs make louder statements than speeches." "Depends who's missing," I said. The crowd murmured. The tension wasn't anger anymore. It was anticipation, a community holding its breath. The PA system crackled once, testing its voice. Minnie Cliff. The microphone caught a single breath before going still. Linda, the county clerk, stepped to the podium. "This session of Whispering Pines Homeowners Association is now in order. Tonight's agenda: leadership vacancy, financial restitution, and acknowledgement of prior misconduct." No one looked toward the door where Karen used to sit. The paper tag on the chair fluttered gently each time the air conditioner cycled. Carol leaned toward me. "You sure you want to stay quiet through this?" "I made enough noise already," I said. She smiled. "Then this is the echo." Linda continued reading from the minutes. Per County Order 412-07. All previous enforcement actions by the HOA have been reviewed and nullified. The board will now consider a motion regarding leadership. John, the resident who once accused me of ruining harmony, stood up. Motion to remove Karen Collins permanently from board duties for falsification of records. A few heads nodded. No one objected. Linda asked, "Is there a second?" Carol lifted her hand. Second. The vote began. Paper ballots again, thin slips rustling like leaves in a wind that finally mattered. Residents leaned over their clipboards, marking with quiet precision. Minnie Cliff. The shuffle of ballots echoed louder than any argument from months past. As Linda and two volunteers counted, I caught sight of the bulletin board behind her, new notices pinned neatly, each stamped cobalt blue with real county seals. The difference between truth and imitation glowed under fluorescent honesty. Linda cleared her throat. Votes tallied. Motion passed unanimous. The crowd didn't cheer. It exhaled. Carol tapped her pen once. "That's justice," she whispered, breathing instead of shouting. Linda adjusted her glasses. Next motion: reimbursement of all residents charged fees under falsified documents. A man in the back raised his hand. "Refunds come from where existing reserves," Linda said. "HOA funds will be audited by county review." Carol leaned toward the mic. "And statements of apology will accompany each refund." The crowd murmured approval. Someone in the front whispered, "About time." Minnie Cliff. A baby cooed somewhere in the audience, the smallest sound in the room, but somehow the purest. Linda smiled faintly. All in favor. Every hand rose. Motion passed unanimous. The tension broke, not with applause at first, but with stillness. The kind of silence you earn after too many loud months. Then slowly, palms met palms. A rhythm built, cautious but real. I looked at Carol. "That the echo, you meant." "Exactly that," she said. "Justice doesn't echo words. It echoes behavior." Linda picked up the final sheet. "For the record, all corrective filings completed and entered into county record. Whispering Pines HOA acknowledges misrepresentation and issues formal apology to affected residents." She looked directly at me. "Mr. Reeves, you are among those affected." I nodded once. "Accepted." Carol whispered, "Say something." I hesitated, then stood palms flat on the folding table. For months, people said we were fighting the HOA. We weren't. We were fighting forgetting. What happened here isn't about offense, it's about remembering what fairness sounds like. The microphone caught my breath and gave it back to the room. John stood again. Motion to recognize Mr. Reeves and Ms. Baines for service to community transparency. Someone shouted, "Seconded," before Linda could even ask. She grinned. Recorded. Minnie Cliff. For the first time, laughter rippled through the crowd, light, fragile, hopeful. Carol leaned over. "You realize you've become a meeting legend?" "I'd rather stay a mechanic," I said. Too late. "Paperwork's already filed," she teased. The meeting closed with a simple statement: community restored trust pending further maintenance. It sounded exactly like something I'd write on a torque chart. Linda tapped her gavel once, soft, ceremonial. Adjourned. But no one left right away. People stayed seated, just looking around at one another as if reacquainting themselves. The word neighbors finally meant what it used to. Carol packed her folder. "Echoes complete," she said. "Loop closed. Prop full circle." I nodded toward the tag on the empty chair. "Think they'll leave that seat open? For a while," she said. "Until someone earns it. Minnie Cliff." The fluorescent hum dipped into silence. Then, from somewhere near the back, a slow clap began, not dramatic, not staged, just real. Others joined, hesitant at first, then firm. Justice sounded like silence, then clapping. The plaque caught sunlight where the banner once hung. Brass letters shimmered over fresh paint, catching orange light off the pond. You could still smell the varnish and the faint metallic tang of new screws. The gate post stood straighter than I'd ever seen it repaired, sealed and quiet. Beside it, the air buzzed with the low music of crickets and a portable radio murmuring somewhere near the barbecue pit. Dad leaned on the fence badge, off-duty sleeves rolled. "Never thought I'd see this gate hold history," he said. Carol smiled, brushing sawdust off her jeans. "History always starts with paperwork." "That's your motto," I said. "It's a lifestyle," she replied. Minnie Cliff. The wind shifted, brushing through the reeds. Somewhere Scout barked once as if to signal we were cleared for peace. Neighbors arrived in slow trickles, John carrying a cooler. Linda balancing paper plates, a few new families lingering at the edge like unsure witnesses. No speeches, no microphones this time, just the smell of smoked ribs and citronella candles. The table near the pond held a stack of envelopes, boundary recognition letters signed and sealed by the new HOA board. Each bore the same clean blue county seal that had ended the fight. Linda handed one to me. "Filed and acknowledged," she said. "Your pond, your peace." I took it carefully. "Looks too small to weigh this much." "That's justice," Carol said. "Always lighter when it's shared." Dad pulled a small toolkit from his truck bed. "Time for the final act," he said. He nodded to me, and together we carried the plaque toward the post. It wasn't grand, just brushed metal 4 lines engraved clean. Private land recognized by county record. Maintained with respect. Finally, someone fought back. The words gleamed in the amber dusk. Carol held the screws steady while I turned the driver. Each twist squeaked against the metal like the sound of tension releasing. Minnie Cliff. The last screw tightened with a sharp click, the same note as the lock closing months before. John exhaled. "Looks permanent," he said. "That's the idea," I replied. Dad stepped back, arms crossed, assessing the symmetry. "Straight as truth," he said. Linda smiled. We replaced noise with names. "That's progress." Scout trotted up, sniffed the plaque, then flopped down under the bench, satisfied. Carol uncapped her thermos. "To paper that outlived noise," she said. I raised my cup, and to the people who read it. Laughter rolled easy now, light and familiar. The pond reflected streaks of pink and gold, soft ripples carrying the sky. Minnie Cliff. A camera drone hovered, briefly silent witness, then drifted upward, catching the reflection of the plaque in the water. Dad followed its path with his eyes. "You gonna post that?" Carol shook her head. "Already live. County Archive requested footage for public record." "Guess we made law look cinematic," I said. She grinned. Feed loves closure. A soft applause rose as kids started roasting marshmallows near the fire pit. It wasn't celebration, it was punctuation. Linda unfolded one more letter, reading aloud. As of today, Parcel 281B is formally and permanently recognized as private property under the Reeves Family Trust. No future HOA claim shall supersede this recognition. The crickets paused as if even they understood the formality of closure. Dad reached out, touching the edge of the plaque. Lines on paper, he said, peace on water. That's a good one, Carol said. You should have been a writer. He chuckled. I just raised the next ones. Minnie Cliff. A small breeze lifted the corner of the old community picnic banner folded on the bench, the same one they'd nailed to my pine tree months ago. I let it rest there, quiet, harmless now. The sun slipped lower, turning the pond bronze. The reflection of the plaque shimmered like a signature finally drying. John wandered over with a plate of brisket. You know, he said the new board's planning a cleanup day next week. No signs, no slogans, just work. That's how it should be, I said. He nodded. Figured you might stop by. Maybe, I said, smiling. If they need help with the fence line. Carol laughed. And so it circles back to boundaries. Boundaries keep the peace, Dad said. People just forget they're supposed to draw them together. The sky dimmed into violet. The last streak of orange slipped behind the trees. The air cooled, soft and certain. Scout lifted her head as fireflies blinked over the reeds. The radio on the tailgate switched to an old Johnny Cash tune. Slow, steady, good company. Minnie Cliff. The melody carried across the pond, gentle as reflection. Carol packed her folders, tucking away one final copy of the recognition letter. You keeping your copy laminated again? She asked. Maybe framed, I said. I'm tired of plastic. Frame it right next to that photo of your uncle, Dad said. He'd have liked tonight. He would have grilled the ribs better, I said. That got a small laugh from the circle, the kind that doesn't need to be loud to last. We sat until the stars came out, just the sound of insects and slow conversation. Every once in a while, someone looked toward the plaque as if making sure it was still there, a quiet witness to how far paper and persistence could reach. When the last neighbor left, Carol turned off the lanterns one by one. The gate gleamed faintly in starlight. I stood there with Dad, the reflection of the plaque shimmering over still water. Feels different now, I said. He nodded. Because it's yours again, not just by law, by life. The pond was silent, calm, certain. The kind of silence that didn't need defending anymore. I reached down, brushed my fingers across the engraved words. They were warm, still from the sun, or maybe from everything it took to earn them. Finally, I said quietly, someone fought back, and this time it wasn't anger, it was peace. The plaque still caught sunlight at the gate, warm against my hand. The blue county seal below it gleamed like proof that order could be honest. Around us, smoke from the barbecue hung in quiet ribbons, the sound of laughter replacing months of argument. I realized justice wasn't about noise or pride, it was about staying when the papers turned cold and making them mean something again. Lines on paper, peace on water. Finally, someone fought back. Share your HOA story below your map might help someone redraw theirs.